Jennifer always trusted Pastor Michael. For years, this man had been a constant and comforting presence in her and Emma's lives. But everything changed the day her 9-year-old daughter began begging not to go to Wednesday night Bible studies anymore. For 3 weeks straight, the girl would come back with red eyes and lock herself in her room without saying a word. "Mum, please don't make me go back there," Emma said, trembling, her hands squeezing the hem of her own blouse until her fingers turned white. Jennifer tried to understand, but Emma just shook her head and ran into the room. When Jennifer finally decided to follow her daughter discreetly to the church, hiding in the shadows of the hallway that led to the basement, what she discovered in the locked room made her blood run completely cold. But to understand how we got here, we need to go back a few weeks, when everything still seemed normal and safe in Jennifer Martinez's life. Jennifer was 36 years old and a nurse at St. David's Medical Center, one of the busiest hospitals in Austin, Texas. She worked the morning shift, which allowed her to pick up Emma from school every afternoon. She was a devoted woman, with brown hair always tied in a practical ponytail, tired but gentle eyes, and a smile that she reserved especially for her daughter. Since the divorce 3 years ago, Jennifer had been raising Emma alone. The girl's father had moved to Seattle with a new family and rarely called. At first, Jennifer felt the weight of loneliness and responsibility, but over time, she learned that she was stronger than she imagined. Emma Martinez was a 9-year-old girl full of life. She had the same brown hair as her mother, but her eyes were green and bright, always curious, always looking for something new to discover. He was a cheerful and confident child, one of those who made friends easily at Jefferson Elementary, where he was in the 4th grade. Emma loved to draw, especially horses, and dreamed of having a real one day. On Sundays and Wednesdays, she attended the activities of Lakewood Community Church, the church that was only 10 minutes from home, in the heart of the quiet neighborhood where they lived. The community where they lived was typical of the suburbs of Austin. 1- or 2-story houses with manicured gardens, white picket fences, wide sidewalks where children rode their bikes until nightfall. Neighbors greeted each other, knew each other's names, left packages on the balconies without fear. It was the kind of place where people still trusted each other, where leaving the door unlocked for a few minutes didn't seem like a risk. Lakewood Community Church was the center of social life for many families in the neighborhood. A red brick building with a modest steeple, stained glass windows. On Sunday mornings, the sound of the organ and the voices of the children's choir echoed through the nearby streets. It was a place of peace, faith, community. Jennifer began attending church shortly after moving to Austin, seeking support and a sense of belonging at a difficult time in her life. He found just that. Pastor Michael Williams had been the spiritual leader of Lakewood for 12 years. A man of approximately 45, tall, broad-shouldered, grey hair at his temples and a warm smile that made anyone feel welcome. He had a deep, reassuring voice, the kind of voice that inspired confidence. He was married to Sarah, a kind and quiet woman who coordinated the women's study groups. They had 2 adult children who lived in other cities. Pastor Michael was respected by all. He organized community dinners, visited patients in the hospital, advised couples in difficulty. When Emma began attending children's Bible studies on Wednesday nights, Jennifer was happy. It was an opportunity for her daughter to learn values, make friends, and feel part of something bigger. In this video, you'll discover how one mother trusted her maternal instinct even when everyone said she was overreacting. You'll see how small signs, which most people would completely ignore, became the key to saving not only your daughter, but several other children. You will understand how the courage and determination of a single person can change everything in a matter of hours. Every detail here is based on real situations that happen closer to us than we would like to believe. If you've made it this far, it's because real history interests you. Help this content reach more people. Leave the like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Mornings at Jennifer and Emma's house always followed the same comforting routine. The alarm clock rang at 6:30. Jennifer prepared coffee and pancakes, Emma's favorite breakfast. The girl would come down the stairs, still in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes, and throw herself on the kitchen chair with a dramatic sigh. "Good morning, sleepyhead," Jennifer said, kissing the top of her daughter's head. "Good morning, Mom," Emma replied with a sleepy smile. They talked about everything while they ate. Emma told her about her classes, about her best friend Sophie, about the science project they were doing at school. Jennifer listened attentively, asking questions, laughing at the funny stories, offering advice when needed. After breakfast, Jennifer would take Emma to Jefferson Elementary. The school was a 5-minute drive away, a low, beige brick building surrounded by a colorful playground and a soccer field. Jennifer always waited for Emma to get in before leaving, waving through the car window until the girl disappeared through the double doors in the driveway. Then he went to the hospital where he worked from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. Sometimes the shifts were tiring, especially on days when the ER was full. But Jennifer enjoyed what she did. He liked to take care of people, to make a difference in their lives, even if it was just holding the hand of someone scared or offering a kind word. At 3:30, Jennifer would rush out of the hospital, get in the car, and arrive at school just as the bell rang at 4 o'clock. Emma always jumped out, backpack on her back, running to the car with a huge smile. "Hi, Mom. How was your day?" "Tiring but good." "And yours?" Emma always had stories to tell. About the math teacher who was funny, about the boy who took a lizard to science class, about the drawing he did in art class. In the evenings, after dinner, they watched television together on the couch, Emma leaning against Jennifer's shoulder, or read books before bed. On Sundays, they woke up earlier to go to church. Emma loved singing in the children's choir. She stood on the first bench with the other children, dressed in the white blouse and navy blue skirt of the choir uniform, singing in a sweet, finely tuned voice. Jennifer sat a few rows behind, her heart swollen with pride to see her daughter so happy and confident. Wednesdays were special because Emma attended children's Bible studies that took place at 7 in the evening. Pastor Michael had created this group 3 years ago, saying he wanted to offer children a space to learn about the Bible in a fun and interactive way. Approximately 15 children between the ages of 7 and 12 participated regularly. Jennifer thought it was wonderful. He dropped Emma off at church at 7 o'clock, talked briefly with other mothers in the parking lot, and returned home. At 8:30, she returned to pick up her daughter. Emma always left excited, telling that they had sung songs, heard Bible stories, and done activities. "Pastor Michael is so nice, Mum," Emma said. "He knows everything about the Bible and makes it all seem so interesting." Jennifer trusted Pastor Michael completely. Everyone trusted. He was a respected authority figure, a man of God, dedicated to the community. When Emma came home on Wednesday nights, Jennifer would ask about the class. Emma answered enthusiastically, describing the stories they had heard, the songs they had sung. Everything seemed absolutely normal and healthy. But then, everything changed. It was a Wednesday like any other. Jennifer dropped Emma off at church, chatted briefly with 2 other mothers about the bake sale that was being organized to raise funds, and returned home. He watched an episode of a series on television, answered some messages, folded clean clothes. At 8:20, he took the keys to his car and returned to the church. The parking lot was empty except for a few cars. Jennifer waited a few minutes until she saw the children start to leave. Parents greeted Pastor Michael, who was at the door saying goodbye to everyone with his warm smile. "Good night, God bless, good night. See you on Sunday." Emma left last, along with 2 other girls. Jennifer waved from the car window. Emma saw her mother and walked to the car slowly, very slowly. Jennifer thought it was strange. Usually Emma would come running, but maybe she was just tired. The girl opened the back door, threw her backpack on the seat, and entered, closing the door tightly. "Hi, daughter. How was it?" Jennifer looked in the rearview mirror and felt something strange in her chest. Emma was looking out the window, didn't answer immediately. "It was good," he said at last, in a low voice. "Are you okay?" Jennifer started the car and started driving. "I'm just tired," Emma replied, still not looking at her mother. Jennifer tried to talk about the class, but Emma gave short, monosyllabic answers. "Yes. No, I don't remember." The silence in the car was heavy, unusual. Usually Emma wouldn't stop talking. When they got home, Emma grabbed her backpack and went straight to her room. "Don't want dinner." Jennifer had prepared macaroni and cheese, Emma's favorite dish. "I'm not hungry." The door to the room closed. Jennifer stood in the kitchen holding the plate of food, feeling a tightness in her chest that she couldn't explain. Maybe Emma was just tired, or maybe she had a fight with a friend. Children had bad days too. Jennifer went upstairs and knocked on the bedroom door. "Emma, can I come in?" "It can." Jennifer opened the door slowly. Emma was lying in bed with her back to the door, hugging the teddy bear she had had since she was a baby. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed and put her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Are you sure everything is okay?" Emma turned her head slightly. Jennifer saw the girl's eyes. They were slightly swollen, red around the edges. "Did you cry?" "No," Emma replied too quickly. "It's just that I'm very tired, Mom. Please, I just want to sleep." Jennifer felt her heart tighten, but she didn't insist. "All right, my love. Sleep well." He kissed Emma's forehead and left the room, closing the door behind him. She stood in the hallway for a long moment, her hand still on the handle, a strange and uncomfortable feeling settling in the back of her mind. Something was different. Something was wrong. But what? That night, Jennifer had trouble sleeping. He tossed and turned in bed, staring at the dark ceiling, thinking of Emma, the red eyes, the silence in the car, the refusal of the favorite dinner. Maybe it really was just tiredness. Or maybe something had happened at school and Emma didn't want to talk about it yet. Jennifer decided to observe. If she continued like this, she would talk more seriously with her daughter. The next morning, Emma seemed more excited. He went down to breakfast smiling, talked normally, ate his pancakes. Jennifer relaxed a little. It had just been a bad day. It happened to everyone. The week followed its normal course: school, work, dinner, television. Sunday came, and Emma sang in the choir as usual, her sweet voice filling the church. Jennifer felt that she had worried for nothing. But then came the next Wednesday. Jennifer dropped Emma off at church at 7 in the evening. Emma hesitated before getting out of the car. He kept his hand on the doorknob for a few seconds, looking at the church building. "Is everything okay, daughter?" Jennifer asked, feeling that awkward tightness return. Emma turned to her. "Mom, I have a stomachache. I don't think I can go today." Jennifer frowned. "You were fine until now. Is it serious?" Emma looked down. "I think it was something I ate. Can I stay at home?" Jennifer put her hand on Emma's forehead. It wasn't hot. He lightly pressed the girl's belly. "Does it hurt here?" Emma grimaced. "A little." Jennifer sighed. "Daughter, are you sure? You love Bible studies." Emma did not answer, only looking at her own hands. Jennifer thought for a moment. Sometimes children made excuses when they just didn't feel like doing something. "Let's try. If you really feel bad inside, call me and I'll pick you up earlier. How are you?" Emma took a deep breath and nodded slowly. "That's okay." He got out of the car slowly, grabbed his backpack and walked towards the side entrance of the church where Pastor Michael was waiting for the children. Jennifer watched her go, that tightness in her chest coming back stronger. But she shook her head, brushing away her worry. I was exaggerating. Emma was probably just tired or lazy. Children were like that sometimes. When he returned at 8:30 to fetch Emma, the scene was repeated. Emma walked out slowly, got into the car in silence, looked out the window all the way home. "How was it?" Jennifer asked. "It was good," replied Emma, her voice even lower than last time. "Has your belly improved?" Emma nodded without looking at her mother. At home, Emma went straight to her room again. Jennifer followed her to the door. "Daughter, do you want to talk about something?" Emma stopped with her hand on the doorknob. "No, Mom. It's okay. I just want to sleep." But before bed, Emma turned and hugged Jennifer with unusual strength, her small arms squeezing her mother's waist, her head pressed against her chest. Jennifer was surprised but returned the hug, caressing her daughter's hair. "I love you, Mom," Emma whispered. "I love you too, my love." "Very much." Jennifer felt her eyes burn. That was not normal. Emma was affectionate, but this embrace had something desperate, needy. When they separated, Jennifer looked into her daughter's eyes and saw something that scared her. Fear. Emma was afraid. Of what? "Daughter, are you sure everything is okay?" Emma nodded quickly. "I do, Mum. Good night." And she closed the bedroom door before Jennifer could say anything else. That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep at all. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart tightened, her mind spinning in circles. Something was happening to Emma. Something was different. But what? The school, the friends, the church. Jennifer thought about all aspects of her daughter's life, trying to identify where the problem might be. Emma had never complained about school. She seemed happy with her friends. Bible studies had always been something she loved. So, what had changed? The third Wednesday was even worse. Jennifer was preparing dinner when Emma came downstairs with a backpack on her back. It was 6:30. Usually they had dinner before going to church. "Mom, can I talk to you?" Emma was standing at the entrance to the kitchen, her eyes downcast, her hands clenching the straps of her backpack. "Of course, daughter. What was it?" Jennifer dried her hands on a cloth and turned completely to Emma. "I don't want to go to Bible studies today." Emma's voice was a whisper. "Why?" Jennifer felt her stomach turn. "They are no longer fun. Why aren't they more fun? What has changed?" Emma shook her head. "I don't know. I just don't want to go." Jennifer approached and knelt in front of her daughter, holding her shoulders gently. "Emma, look at me." Emma looked up slowly. They were full of tears. Jennifer's heart stopped for a second. "Daughter, what's going on? You can tell me anything. You know that, don't you?" Tears began to stream down Emma's face. "I just don't want to go, Mum. Please don't make me go." "But why? Explain to me what's going on there." Emma sobbed. "I can't tell you." "Why can't you tell? It's special." Emma wiped away her tears with the back of her hand. "We do special things, and we can't count on them. It's the group's secret." Jennifer felt a shiver run down her spine. "Secret? What kind of secret?" Emma shook her head. "I can't tell you, Mom. It's a secret. If I tell you, it won't be special anymore." Jennifer held Emma's face with both hands, forcing her daughter to look at her. "Listen, my love. There's no secret you can't tell me. Do you understand? If something is making you sad or afraid, you need to tell me." Emma just sobbed, shaking her head. "Pastor Michael said it's a secret, that we can't tell our parents, which is between us and God." The second tightness Jennifer felt in her heart was much stronger than the first. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed his chest and squeezed it tightly. Did Pastor Michael say not to tell his parents? Emma nodded, her tears still flowing. Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "What kind of special things do you do?" "I can't tell you, Mum. If I tell you, I break the promise, and breaking a promise is a sin. Pastor Michael said that God is sad when we break promises." Jennifer felt her anger begin to boil along with her fear. Someone was manipulating her daughter. Someone was using faith, using God, to make Emma keep secrets. Who did that and why? Daughter, listen. Keeping secrets that make you sad or afraid is not what God wants. God wants you to be happy and safe. And Mum is here to protect you always. So you can tell me. I promise I won't be mad. Emma wiped her nose with the sleeve of her blouse. "We sing and pray, as always. But then, some girls stay, for special conversations." "Which girls?" Emma shrugged. "Not always the same. Sometimes me, sometimes Sophie, sometimes other girls. And what happens in these special conversations?" Emma looked at the floor again. "We talk about being special, about being God's favorite, and Pastor Michael is close to us, and he says that we are special. Jennifer felt the blood run cold in her veins. What else does he say? I don't remember everything. Emma was becoming visibly uncomfortable. Mom, I promise not to tell. I promise it's no big deal. It's just that I don't like it. It makes me feel weird. Jennifer hugged Emma tightly. All right, my love. That's okay. You don't have to go today. You can stay at home with me. Emma relaxed in her mother's arms, relief visible. Really? Seriously? I'm not going to make you do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Emma hugged her mother back, muttering a softly, "Thank you." Jennifer felt her own tears threatening to fall, but she held on. It needed to be strong. I needed to understand what was happening. She needed to protect her daughter. That night, after Emma went to sleep, Jennifer sat in the living room, her mind in turmoil. Special conversations, secrets that cannot be told to parents, girls getting after class, Pastor Michael saying that they are special, favorites, stay close to them. What did that mean? What was going on in that basement? Jennifer wanted to believe that she was innocent, that it was just a special project, maybe a surprise to her parents, something like that. But why was Emma so uncomfortable? Why was he afraid? Why did he cry? Jennifer took out her phone and Googled it. Signs of inappropriate behavior with children. The results made her feel nauseous. Isolation of specific children. Secrets that cannot be shared with parents. Manipulation through spiritual or religious authority. Tell the child that he is special, favorite, gifts or special attention. Physical touches that start out innocent but progress. Jennifer closed her eyes, trying to push away the horrible thoughts that were beginning to form in her mind. No, it couldn't be that. Pastor Michael was a man of God. He had been respected for 12 years in that community. He had a wife and children. It didn't make sense. She was exaggerating. I was letting my imagination run wild. But what if it wasn't? What if something was really happening? What if Emma was in danger? Jennifer couldn't sleep that night. He stayed in the room late, researching, reading articles about child abuse, about predators who used positions of trust to gain access to children. He felt sick. She felt guilty. How had I not realized before? How had she let Emma go all those Wednesdays without questioning anything? If this revelation is arousing in you a deep curiosity about what really happened, comment right now, I want more stories, and please leave your like on this video. This helps more people to know this important story. The next day, Jennifer tried to act normal, but she couldn't get Emma out of her head. At work, he made small mistakes. She forgot to write down the dosage of a medication, and a colleague had to correct it. She poured coffee on her own blouse during the break. He couldn't concentrate. The mind was always coming back to the same question. What's going on with my daughter? When he picked up Emma from school, he watched his daughter intently. Emma seemed lighter, happier. He talked animatedly about the art class, about the drawing of a horse he had made, and that the teacher had praised. Jennifer felt a little relief. At least Emma was fine when she wasn't in church. Did that mean anything? Did it mean that the problem really lay with Bible studies? That night, after Emma went to sleep, Jennifer decided to take action. He could not simply ignore what he had seen and heard. I needed to find out what was happening. But how? I couldn't just accuse Pastor Michael without evidence. If she were wrong, she would destroy an innocent man's reputation, cause a scandal in the church, traumatize Emma even more. But if she was right and did nothing, what could happen? Jennifer thought about talking to other mothers, asking if their children had mentioned anything strange. But what if no one else had noticed anything? What if she was the only one with suspicions? They would say, I was being paranoid, overprotective, crazy. The following Sunday, Jennifer took Emma to church as usual. During the service, Pastor Michael watched intently. He preached about trust, about faith, about God's love for children. The voice was kind, the words were beautiful. The congregation listened attentively, nodding their heads in agreement. At the end of the service, Pastor Michael greeted everyone on the way out, as he always did. Jennifer waited in line with Emma. "Good morning, Jennifer." "Good morning, Emma." Pastor Michael smiled warmly at the two. "How are you?" "We're fine, thank you," Jennifer replied, watching Emma's reaction. The girl had been tense next to her mother, looking at the floor. "I missed you on Wednesday, Emma," said Pastor Michael, bending down a little to be at the girl's height. "I hope you're feeling better." Emma just nodded without looking up. Jennifer felt her heart tighten again. Emma's body language said it all. She didn't want to be around him. "I was feeling a little sick," Jennifer said, placing her protective hand on her daughter's shoulder. "I hope I can come back next Wednesday," said Pastor Michael, still smiling. "Girls always miss you when someone misses. That special group really became a family." Special group. The words echoed in Jennifer's mind. She forced a smile. "We'll see how she is." Pastor Michael stood up and briefly touched Jennifer's shoulder. "If you need anything, I'm always here. God bless you and your beautiful daughter." Jennifer nodded and walked away quickly, holding Emma's hand firmly. In the car, Jennifer looked at Emma in the rearview mirror. "Daughter, don't you like Pastor Michael anymore?" Emma was quiet for a moment. "I like him. He's cool. It's just that the Bible studies got weird." "Strange as how?" Emma shrugged. "I don't know how to explain it. Just weird." That afternoon, Jennifer decided to talk to some mothers. He called Karen, mother of Sophie, Emma's best friend. "Hi, Karen, how are you? Everything great, and you?" "I'm fine. Listen, I wanted to ask you something. Has Sophie said anything about Bible studies?" "Like what?" Jennifer hesitated. "I don't know. Something different, strange." Karen laughed on the other end of the line. "No, on the contrary, she loves it. He says that Pastor Michael is incredible, that he makes everything so interesting." "Why? Did something happen?" Jennifer felt stupid. No. It's just that Emma has been a little weird in the last few weeks, and I was trying to understand why. Maybe it's just a phase." Karen was silent for a second. "You know, now that you mentioned it, Sophie commented on something last week." "About what?" "She said some girls stay for a special chat with Pastor Michael after class, and that she wanted to be chosen too, but she hasn't been yet." Jennifer's heart raced. "Chosen?" Karen laughed again. "Yes, apparently Pastor Michael chooses some girls for a special prayer time or something. Sophie was a little upset that she hadn't been chosen yet. He said that he chooses God's most special girls." Jennifer felt her mouth become dry. "And didn't you find that strange?" "Why would I think so? Sounds like something cute, giving special attention to children. Isn't that why we send our children there? To receive spiritual guidance?" Jennifer didn't know what to say. "Of course, you're right. Sorry to bother, no problem. If you find out what's making Emma strange, tell me. I'll tell you." Jennifer hung up the phone, feeling even more confused. Karen saw no problem. She thought it was cute that Pastor Michael paid special attention to the girls. But Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Special conversations. Choose girls. Call them special. It all seemed innocent on the surface, but there was something underneath, something Jennifer couldn't see clearly, but felt deep in her soul. He called two more mothers. Both said the same thing. The children loved the Bible studies. Pastor Michael was wonderful, dedicated, creative, attentive. No one had noticed anything wrong. Jennifer was alone in her worry. Was he really exaggerating? Was he seeing problems where none existed? But then why was Emma so uncomfortable? Why did he cry? Why did he beg not to go? That night, Jennifer tried to talk to Emma again. They were sitting on Emma's bed, an open book between them, but neither of them was paying attention to the story. "Daughter, can you tell me what happens in these special conversations? Please, I need to understand." Emma looked at her own hands. "We sing songs, and Pastor Michael prays for each one of us. And he says that we are God's favorites, that God chose us. Does it stay close?" Emma nodded. "Sometimes he puts his hand on our shoulder when he prays, or in our hair. He says he is blessing us." Jennifer felt her stomach turn. And where does this happen? In the basement room. The basement room. Jennifer didn't know that room. I had never been there. Parents were not allowed to stay during Bible studies. Pastor Michael said that it was for the children to feel more comfortable, more free to participate, without the inhibition of having their parents watch. At the time, Jennifer thought it was reasonable. Now, it looked like a giant red flag. "Can I attend a class someday?" Jennifer asked casually. Emma stood stiff next to her. "No, Mom. Parents cannot. It's Pastor Michael's rule. He says it's only for kids, that parents would not understand because they are children's things." "Why wouldn't parents understand?" Emma shrugged. "I don't know. That's all he says." Jennifer felt the third tightness in her heart, even stronger than the previous ones. It was as if something was squeezing his chest from the inside, making it difficult to breathe. A rule that parents cannot see, secrets that cannot be told, special conversations in an isolated room, physical touches. All of that together painted a picture that Jennifer didn't want to see, but that became clearer and more frightening. But what happened in the next few hours would destroy all the certainties she had. It was Sunday morning. Jennifer was washing Emma's clothes, sorting the pieces before putting them in the machine. She took her daughter's school uniform, white blouse, and navy blue skirt, and began checking her pockets as she always did before washing. In her skirt pocket, her fingers touched something. Paper. Jennifer took out a crumpled piece of paper, folded several times until it was very small. It opened slowly. It was a note, handwritten with blue pen. The handwriting was that of an adult. "Don't tell your mom about our special time. This is between us and God." Underneath, a signature, PM. Jennifer felt the world swirl around her. The hands began to shake so much that the paper wobbled. Her heart raced in her chest, beating so hard she could hear the blood pulsing in her ears. He read the note 3 more times, as if the words were going to change. But they didn't change. They were there, black and white. "Don't tell your mom. PM. Pastor Michael." Jennifer sat on the laundry floor, her legs no longer able to support her. He held the note with both hands, still trembling. All the pieces fit together at once. Emma's red eyes, the silence in the car, the refusal to go to Bible studies, the special conversations, the secrets, the touches, and now a ticket, a physical, concrete note, proof that something was happening, something that needed to be hidden from parents. Jennifer didn't know how long she sat there on the floor. It could have been 5 minutes or 30. Finally, he managed to get up. His legs were still shaking. He climbed the stairs slowly, the ticket clutched in his hand. Emma was in the room, drawing. Jennifer walked in and closed the door behind her. Emma looked up. "Hi, Mom." Jennifer sat on the bed next to her daughter. "Daughter, I found this in the pocket of your skirt." He showed the note. Emma turned pale. His eyes widened and filled with tears immediately. "Mom, Jennifer put her arm around Emma's shoulders, pulling her closer. "You're not in trouble, my love. I promise. I just need you to tell me what that means." Emma began to cry. "I promised not to tell. He said that if I told, I would be breaking a promise to God, and breaking a promise is a sin. He said that God would be sad with me." Jennifer felt her own tears begin to fall. She held Emma's face with both hands, forcing her daughter to look at her. "Listen well to what I'm going to tell you. No adult should ask you to keep secrets from your mother. Never. You understand? If someone asks for it, that person is wrong, not you. And God would never, ever be sad with you for telling your mother the truth. Do you believe me?" Emma nodded, sobbing. "Now tell me, what are these special times?" Emma wiped her face with her hands. "After the other children leave, some girls stay. Not always the same. He chooses." "How many girls?" "About 4 or 5. "And what happens when you stay?" Emma took a deep breath, trembling. "We sit in a circle in the basement room, and he closes the door. It does not lock, but closes. And he says that now we are going to have our special time with Jesus, that we are God's favorites, that God has chosen us to receive special blessings. And he walks around the circle putting his hand on each girl's shoulder, sometimes in the hair too. And it whispers things in our ear. What does he whisper? I can't remember it right. Emma was crying harder now. Things about being beautiful, about being special, about being of God, about how lucky we are. Jennifer felt nausea rise up her throat. Has he ever touched you anywhere other than his shoulder and hair? Emma shook her head. No, but he gets very close, and I don't like it. I'm afraid, Mom. I'm afraid he will. I don't know. I'm just afraid. Jennifer hugged Emma tightly, her daughter sobbing against her chest. All right, my love. That's okay. You were very brave to tell me, and I promise you won't go back there. Never again. You're safe. Mommy will protect you. Emma clung to her mother. Do you promise? I promise. And more than that, I'm going to make sure he never does that to any child again. That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep at all. She lay on the bed, the note on the bedside table staring at the ceiling. The mind did not stop. What to do? Go to the police? But with what proof? A note and the account of a 9-year-old child. Would it be enough? What if it wasn't? What if they investigated and found nothing? Pastor Michael would have been warned and would have been more careful. And Emma would have to go through all the trauma of telling her story to strangers. Confront Pastor Michael directly. He would deny it. Obviously, I would deny it. I would say that the note was a misunderstanding, that the special conversations were innocent, that Jennifer was misinterpreting everything, and the community would believe him. After all, he was Pastor Michael, respected for 12 years, and she was just a worried, probably paranoid mother. Talk to his wife, with the leaders of the church. It would have the same result. No one would believe it without concrete evidence. And Jennifer had no evidence other than the note and Emma's account. He needed more. He needed something indisputable. But how to achieve it? Jennifer spent the next day researching. He read about similar cases, about how they were investigated, about what constituted sufficient evidence. He found that in many cases there was a pattern. The abuser did not have just one victim, there were multiple. And often, families didn't realize until it was too late, because the children were afraid to tell, or because the signs were subtle, or because the abuser had a position of trust that made it impossible to believe the accusations. Jennifer remembered something. Last month, Emma had come home with a necklace, a fine silver chain with a small crucifix. Jennifer had asked where she had come from, and Emma said that Pastor Michael had given it to her. He said that she was a special girl from God and that she deserved something special. At the time, Jennifer had found it a kind gesture. Now I saw it with different eyes. It was a gift to make Emma feel special, chosen. It was part of the manipulation. How many other girls had received gifts? How many others were being chosen for the special times? If Emma was uncomfortable, so should other children. But had his parents noticed? Jennifer picked up the phone and called Maria, her best friend. Mary had no children, but she was like an aunt to Emma. It was the only person Jennifer felt she could trust completely. Maria, I need to talk to you. About what? It sounds serious. It's very serious. Can you come here tonight? Of course. I'm leaving work now. I'll be there in an hour. When Maria arrived, Jennifer showed the note and told everything, every detail, the changes in Emma's behavior, the special conversations, the secrets, the touches. Maria turned pale as she listened. My God, Jennifer, you need to go to the police now. I know, but I'm afraid it's not enough. It is the word of a child against that of a respected pastor. I need more proof, more evidence. What kind of evidence? Jennifer had already thought about it. A tape recorder. I'm going to put a hidden tape recorder in Emma's backpack. Maria was shocked. Will you send Emma back there? Jennifer shook her head. I know it sounds crazy. And believe me, the last thing I want is to put Emma in that situation again. But I need proof. I need something concrete. And if I can get a recording of him saying these things, manipulating the girls, it will be indisputable. Maria thought for a long moment. What if it goes wrong? What if he discovers the recorder? What if he does something worse to Emma? I won't let it. I'll stay there. I'll follow Emma to the church and I'll be hidden near the basement room. If anything happens, I invade the room immediately. Maria sighed. Are you sure about that? Jennifer nodded, determination visible in her eyes. I do. It's the only way to protect Emma and all the other children he may be manipulating. The next day, Jennifer went to an electronics store and bought a small tape recorder the size of a flash drive. He tested it at home. The audio quality was good. He talked to Emma, explained the plan. Emma was startled but agreed. I want this to end, Mum. For me and for the other girls. You are so brave, my love, so brave. Jennifer kissed her daughter's forehead, holding her small hands. I'll be there. If anything happens, I'll go in and get you out of there immediately. Do you trust me? Emma nodded. I trust. But then came Tuesday night, the eve of next Wednesday, the eve of the plan. Jennifer was sitting in the living room, the tape recorder on the table in front of her. Emma already asleep upstairs. The courage he had felt earlier was beginning to waver. What if it was wrong? What if all this was a terrible misunderstanding? What if the special conversations were really innocent and she was about to destroy the life of an innocent man, destroy his reputation, cause a scandal in the church, traumatize Emma even more? Jennifer picked up the tape recorder, looking at it. His mind went round in circles. He saw Emma sleeping earlier, the little girl innocent and vulnerable. He remembered the tears, of the fear in the green eyes, of the desperate embrace, from the ticket. Don't tell your mum. Why would a pastor write this if he had nothing to hide? Why would you ask for secrecy if everything was innocent? Maternal instinct spoke louder than rational doubt. Jennifer knew. Deep in her soul, she knew something was wrong. She might not understand exactly what, but she knew her daughter was in danger. And no reputation, no position was above the safety of a child, of your child. Jennifer took out her cell phone and called work, leaving a message that she would have a medical appointment on Wednesday afternoon and would need to leave early. Then he prepared what he would need for the next day. He fully charged his cell phone and the recorder. He separated dark and discreet clothes. She thought of excuses if she was discovered in the church. He wrote everything in a notebook, as if writing helped organize his chaotic thoughts. If I'm wrong, I'll ask for forgiveness, she wrote. I'm going to apologize to Pastor Michael, to the church, to everyone. But if I'm right, I'll save my daughter, and possibly other children, and that's all that matters. Jennifer slowly climbed the stairs to Emma's room. The door was ajar. Jennifer pushed gently and walked in. Emma was asleep, the teddy bear pressed to her chest, her hair spread out on the pillow. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed, watching her daughter for a long moment. That little girl was everything to her. Everything. And no one, absolutely no one, was going to hurt her. Jennifer leaned over and kissed Emma's forehead. The girl moved slightly but did not wake up. I'll protect you, my love, whispered Jennifer. No matter what, I promise. He went back to his room, lay down on the bed, but sleep did not come. The mind was too fast, planning every detail of the next day, imagining every possible scenario. What if the recorder didn't work? What if it was discovered? What if Pastor Michael noticed that something was different? What if he did something to Emma before Jennifer could intervene? Each thought was more frightening than the last. Finally, around 3 a.m, Jennifer fell asleep. But it was a restless sleep, full of vague nightmares. He dreamed that he was running through dark corridors, looking for Emma, hearing his daughter's voice calling for her, but not being able to find her. He woke up at 6 a.m. with his heart racing, his body covered in cold sweat. He got up, took a long, hot shower, trying to calm his nerves. Today was the day. Today she would find out the truth, one way or another. Wednesday dawned with a grey sky. heavy clouds threatening rain. Jennifer prepared breakfast as usual, but her hands trembled as she turned the pancakes. Emma went downstairs and sat down at the table, quietly. "Good morning, daughter." "Good morning, Mom." They ate in silence for a few minutes. Jennifer could see the tension on Emma's face, in the way the girl pushed the food on her plate without actually eating. "Do you still want to do it?" Jennifer asked softly. Emma looked up and nodded. "I want it to end, Mom. For me and for the other girls." Jennifer reached across the table and held her daughter's small hand. "It will end, I promise, and remember, I'm going to be there. If anything happens, I'll go in and take you out of there right away." Emma shook her mother's hand. "I know, I trust you." After breakfast, Jennifer took Emma to school. He kissed his daughter on the top of the head before she got out of the car. "I love you to the moon and back," Jennifer said, the phrase they always said to each other. "I love you to the stars." And again Emma replied with a small smile. Then he turned and walked to the school. Jennifer watched until Emma disappeared through the doors, then drove to the hospital. The working day was torturous. Jennifer couldn't concentrate on anything. He checked his watch every 5 minutes. The hours dragged on as if time had purposely slowed down. At 3 in the afternoon, I told the supervisor that I needed to leave, the medical appointment I had mentioned. The supervisor nodded understandingly. "Of course, it will. I hope everything is fine." "Yes, thank you," Jennifer lied. He picked Emma up from school at 4 o'clock. The girl got into the car and the two looked at each other. "Ready?" Jennifer asked. "Ready?" Emma replied, though her voice trembled a little. Jennifer picked up the small tape recorder that was in the glove compartment. It was already on, tested, working perfectly. He put it inside Emma's backpack, in the inside pocket where it would not be easily found. "He's going to record everything," Jennifer explained. "You don't even have to do anything. Just leave it in your backpack and it does the job." Emma nodded, looking at the backpack as if it contained something dangerous. They went home, had an early dinner. Neither of them had much of an appetite. At 6:45, Jennifer took the keys to the car. "Let's go." All the way to church, Jennifer held on tight to the steering wheel, her knuckles white. Emma was quiet in the back seat, looking out the window. "Remember, my love, you're not alone," Jennifer said as she parked. "I'll be there. You may not see me, but I'll be there." Emma nodded. It was 7 o'clock sharp when they arrived at Lakewood Community Church. The parking lot already had a few cars. Jennifer saw other children entering through the side door, the one that led directly to the basement. And there he was, Pastor Michael Williams, standing at the entrance, smiling, greeting each child who arrived. Jennifer felt her stomach turn. From a distance, he looked exactly what he had always looked like. A kind, affectionate, dedicated man. He hugged the children, asked questions, laughed. How could someone like that be doing what Emma described? For a brief moment, Jennifer felt doubt again. Was she crazy? Was he about to ruin the life of an innocent man based on misunderstandings and maternal paranoia? He looked at Emma in the rearview mirror. The girl was looking at the church, fear visible in her eyes. "No, I wasn't crazy." Her daughter was afraid. Her daughter had cried. She had begged not to come. The ticket existed. Emma's words were real. Jennifer wasn't imagining anything. "You can do it, daughter. You are the bravest girl I know." Emma took a deep breath and nodded. He took the backpack, found that it was well closed, and opened the car door. Jennifer watched her walk to the entrance. She saw Pastor Michael bend down to be at Emma's height, saying something that made the girl give a small, forced smile. He put his hand on her shoulder briefly, then Emma walked in. "A few more children arrived," Jennifer said. 12 in all. Then Pastor Michael looked around the parking lot, waved to some parents who were leaving, and walked in as well, closing the door behind him. Jennifer waited 5 minutes. Her heart beat so hard that she could feel the pulse in her neck, temples, wrists. He took several deep breaths, trying to calm down. So he got out of the car, locked the doors, and walked to the church. It wasn't through the side door. It was through the main front entrance, which she knew was open until 8 at night. He entered silently. The main sanctuary was empty and silent, the wooden benches arranged in perfect rows, the light streaming in through the stained glass windows creating patterns on the floor. Jennifer knew the layout of the church. He had been there hundreds of times. I knew there was a side hallway that led to the offices, the kitchen, and the basement stairs. He walked slowly, his rubber-soled sneakers almost silent on the wooden floor. The hallway was empty. In the distance, coming from below, she heard the sound of children's voices. They were singing. Jennifer recognized the song, a hymn that Emma often sang. Approached the stairs. They were made of wood, descending in a straight line with a curve in the middle. He looked around. No one. He went down the first 3 steps, slowly, testing each one to make sure they wouldn't make any noise. From the curve of the stairs, I had a partial view of the basement room. The door was ajar, warm light coming out of the crack, Jennifer Agachus making herself as small as possible, and looked. I could see part of the room. The children were seated in a semicircle of small chairs. Pastor Michael was standing in front of them, guitar in hand, singing along. The children swayed from side to side, some clapping. It looked completely normal, completely innocent. Jennifer stood there, hidden in the stairs, watching. The song ended. Pastor Michael put his guitar aside and picked up a large Bible. He began to tell a story, the story of David and Goliath, with excited voices and dramatic gestures. The children laughed at the funny moments, kept quiet in the tense moments. Emma was seated in the second row, between 2 other girls. She seemed to be paying attention, although her posture was stiffer than that of the other children. 20 minutes passed. Jennifer began to feel her legs ache from squatting in the same position. He changed his position slightly, leaning against the wall. Nothing unusual was happening. Absolutely nothing. The class seemed to be exactly what it was supposed to be. A Bible study for children. Pastor Michael was engaging, funny, educational. The kids were enjoying it. Jennifer began to feel ridiculous. She was hiding in a stairwell, peeking into a completely normal children's Bible class. What was he doing? He had put a tape recorder hidden in his daughter's backpack. He had lied at work. It had terrified Emma, and all why? For a sensation, by some signs that could have 1,000 innocent explanations. She was about to get up and leave. She was about to accept that she had completely overreacted, when she heard Pastor Michael say something that made her freeze. "Well done, kids. You were wonderful today. Now most of you can go up. Your parents are waiting, but some special girls will stay for our special time with Jesus. Today's chosen ones are Emma, Sophie, Lily, Grace, and Hannah. The rest can go up. See you next week." Jennifer felt her heart stop and then race. It had begun. He watched as 7 children rose from their chairs, grabbed their backpacks, and walked toward the door. Jennifer shrank further down the stairs, pressing her body against the wall in the curve. The children began to climb. They passed so close that Jennifer could have reached out and touched them. But none looked away. None saw the woman hiding in the shadows. They climbed the stairs, their excited voices echoing as they walked away, heading toward the parking lot where their parents were waiting. Jennifer waited, breathlessly, until the sound of the voices disappeared completely. Then, very slowly, very carefully, he moved back to the position where he could see through the crack in the door. What he saw made his blood run cold in his veins. The room was very different now. The chairs had been rearranged in a smaller, more intimate circle. 5 girls were sitting, their backpacks at their feet. Emma, Sophie, Lily, Grace, and Hannah. Jennifer knew them all. They were girls between 8 and 10 years old, all from the same community, all from families that attended church regularly. And in the center of the circle was Pastor Michael. He had closed the door. Jennifer heard the click, although she had not seen a latch being locked. His voice had changed. It was still gentle, but now it was softer, almost a whisper. "Pretty girls, my favorites. You know how special you are to me, don't you?" The girls nodded, but Jennifer could see that their body language had changed. They were less relaxed, more tense. Today We will have our special time, as always, the time that only you, God's chosen ones, deserve." Pastor Michael pulled up a chair and sat in the circle with them, breaking the dynamic of teacher and students. Now he was part of the circle, closer, more intimate. Jennifer saw him reach into his pocket and pull something out, sweets, colorful candies wrapped in shiny paper. He distributed one to each girl. "Because you are sweet," he said, smiling. "Sweet and pure and special." The girls picked up the candy, murmured low thanks. Jennifer felt nausea rise up her throat. There was nothing explicitly wrong with what he was seeing, but it all felt wrong. The way he looked at them, the way he had changed his voice, the inner circle, the sweets, the chosen words, favorites, specials, chosen. Everything was designed to make these girls feel unique, important, different from others. It was clear psychological manipulation. "Now let's pray," said Pastor Michael. "Close your eyes, girls. Let's thank God for choosing us for this special moment." The girls closed their eyes, clasped their hands together. Pastor Michael stood up. He began to walk around the circle slowly, stopping behind each girl. Jennifer watched, his fists clenched so hard that his fingernails dug into his palms as he placed his hands on each girl's shoulders. It wasn't a quick touch. It wasn't a casual touch. His hands were there, massaging lightly, his fingers tightening. And as he did so, he would lean over and whisper something in each girl's ear. Jennifer couldn't hear what he was saying. It was too far away. But I saw the reactions. Some girls were completely immobile. Others trembled slightly. One, little Grace, had tears streaming down her face even with her eyes closed. When she reached after Emma, Jennifer felt every muscle in her body tense. She saw Pastor Michael put his hands on his daughter's shoulders. He saw Emma tremble, just as she had described. She saw him lean, his lips close to Emma's ear, whispering. Emma kept her eyes closed, but Jennifer could see that the girl was clasping her hands tightly, her knuckles white. Jennifer wanted to scream. She wanted to run down those steps, invade that room, pull her daughter away from that man. But she forced herself to stand still. The recorder was working. I was capturing everything. Everything he said Jennifer would have in audio. It was the proof he needed. If I interrupted it now, there would be nothing concrete. Just what he saw. And he could tell he was innocent, that he was just praying, that touching shoulders was normal. I needed the audio. I needed his words. Then he forced himself to stay there. He forced himself to watch, although every second was torture. He watched Pastor Michael complete the circle, touching each girl, whispering to each one. Finally, he returned to his chair and sat down. "You can open your eyes, blessed girls." The girls opened their eyes slowly. Some seemed disoriented. "Have you felt God's love flowing through me to you?" Pastor Michael asked. The girls nodded. "This is our special secret, our moment with God. And remember, if you tell your parents, they won't understand. They will find it strange. So you better be our little secret, right? Between us and God. If you count, you can no longer be chosen. And you want to continue to be chosen, don't you?" The girls nodded again, more vigorously now. They wanted to be chosen. They wanted to be special. They were children, and children want to be loved. They want to be seen as important. And he was using that. I was manipulating this natural desire to keep them silent. Jennifer was deciding that she had seen enough, that she needed to stop it now, when she heard footsteps above. Someone was coming down. He turned quickly, looking for a place to hide. There was a door next to the stairs, ajar. Jennifer quickly entered, closing the door almost completely behind her, leaving only a crack for her to see. A woman came down the stairs. Jennifer recognized her. Sarah Williams, wife of Pastor Michael. "Michael?" she called, knocking on the basement door. "I'm here, dear," replied Pastor Michael, and Jennifer noticed how her voice instantly changed back to its normal, cheerful public tone. "I need you in the kitchen. We have a problem with tomorrow's congregation dinner. The supplier called saying that he cannot deliver. I'm going to go upstairs." The door opened and Pastor Michael appeared, smiling at his wife. Girls, let's wrap it up for today. They can go up. Your parents must be coming. And remember, blessed girls, our time is our special secret. Between us and God, they don't need to tell anyone. The girls nodded as they picked up their backpacks. Jennifer shrank even more in the small space where she was hiding as Pastor Michael and Sarah went upstairs, talking about the caterer and dinner. The 5 girls left the basement room and started to climb as well. They passed so close that Jennifer could have touched Emma. He saw his daughter's face. He saw her eyes bowed. He saw her shoulders hunched. I desperately wanted to hug her right there, but I couldn't. Not yet. He let the girls pass, heard their voices rising, moving away. He waited a few more minutes, his heart beating wildly, then came out of hiding. He climbed the stairs slowly, checked the corridor. Empty. He walked quickly to the main entrance, left, crossed to the parking lot. Other mothers were there, chatting casually as they waited for their daughters. Jennifer saw Emma hanging out with Sophie. One of the mothers, Sophie's mother, called the girls. Emma looked around and saw Jennifer near the car. Their eyes met for a brief second. Jennifer tried to convey with her eyes that everything was fine, that it had worked, but she couldn't do more than that. Emma went with Sophie's mother, who had offered to take Emma home since Jennifer had said earlier that she might be late. Jennifer got in the car and locked the doors. His hands trembled so much that he could barely hold the steering wheel. He tried to put the key in the ignition 3 times before he succeeded. Then he just sat there for a moment, his hands on the wheel, his breath panting. I had seen it. He had seen it with his own eyes. The behavior, the manipulation, the secrecy. And the tape recorder had captured everything. He had his words. There was proof. But along with the relief of having won the race, there was overwhelming frustration. Frustration because I hadn't seen enough to act immediately. I had not seen anything that was indisputably criminal. He saw taunts on shoulders, whispers, psychological manipulation, all terrible, all wrong, but would it be enough? He could argue that he was just praying, just being affectionate, just doing his job as a spiritual leader. Tears began to fall. Tears of anger, frustration, fear. She cried there in the car for several minutes, sobbing, her hands covering her face. Finally, he wiped away his tears, took several deep breaths, and started the car. He drove home on autopilot, his mind spinning. When she arrived, Emma was already there. He had entered with the extra key he carried. Jennifer opened the door, and Emma was standing in the living room, still with her backpack on her back. "Mother?" Jennifer crossed the room in 3 steps and pulled Emma into a tight, desperate embrace. He held his daughter as if he would never let go. Emma dropped her backpack on the floor and hugged her mother back, starting to cry. "It's over, my love. You were so brave. So brave." Jennifer caressed Emma's hair, kissed the top of her head. "Never again. You never have to go back there, I promise." Emma sobbed against her mother's breast. "It was horrible, Mom. The things he said, I know, but now we have proof, and he will pay for what he did, for you and for all the other girls." They stayed like this for a long time, embracing in the middle of the room, weeping, consoling each other. Finally, Jennifer parted kindly. "Sit here on the couch, my love. I need to get the recorder from your backpack." Emma nodded, wiping her face with her hands. Jennifer grabbed her backpack, opened the inside pocket, and pulled out the small tape recorder. It was still on, the red light flashing. He hung up, checked. 42 minutes of recording. It had worked. That night, after Emma finally fell asleep, emotionally and physically exhausted, Jennifer sat alone in the kitchen with headphones on and pressed play. The recording began with muffled sounds, the noise of movement as Emma placed her backpack on the floor of the basement room. So, voices, the children singing, perfectly clear. The tape recorder was better than Jennifer had expected. He heard the Bible story, he heard the laughter of the children, then he heard Pastor Michael dismissing most of them. He heard the sound of footsteps, voices moving away. And then everything changed. His voice was different, softer, more intimate. Jennifer closed her eyes and listened to every word. Pretty girls, my favorites, you are so special to me, so pure, so sweet. God has shown me that you are different from other children. You were chosen, and this time we have together. This time is ours alone. It is sacred. It is a special connection between you, God, and me. His parents wouldn't understand. They were not chosen as you are. So this needs to be our secret, our beautiful secret. Jennifer felt bile rise in her throat. The manipulation was clear, crystal clear. He was using spiritual language to make the girls feel special while simultaneously isolating them from their parents. He kept listening. She heard him handing out the sweets. She heard him asking them to close their eyes. And then the worst. As he stood behind each girl, whispering, the tape recorder picked up. Not perfectly clear, but enough. You're so beautiful, Hannah. God made you perfect. And he gave me to you to take care of, to touch and bless. My fingers are God's instruments. When I touch you, it's God touching you. And then to another girl. Sophie, you're my favorite today. You have such soft hair. So beautiful. God lets me play because I'm special too. And you like it when I play, don't you? It shows that you are pure. For Emma, his words were, Emma, my sweet Emma, you are an angel, so innocent, so perfect. Our secret keeps you pure. If you tell your mother, the purity is gone, and then God will no longer choose you. You want to keep being chosen, do you, my angel? Jennifer had to pause the recording. He got up running and went to the bathroom, vomiting everything he had in his stomach. His hands trembled, his whole body trembled. Those words, those horrible, manipulative, predatory words. It was all there, everything. The way he used God to justify touching, the way he called the girls beautiful, perfect. The way he subtly threatened that they would lose their special status if they told. It was a predator's manual, chapter by chapter. He rinsed his mouth, washed his face, and went back to the kitchen. He finished listening to the recording. In the end, he caught him telling them to keep it a secret, not to tell their parents because they wouldn't understand. He caught the girls nodding in small, frightened voices. Jennifer turned off the recorder and sat in silence for a long moment. Then he took out his cell phone. It was 11 o'clock at night, but it didn't matter. He called Maria. "Hello?" Maria answered in a sleepy voice. "Jennifer, what happened? Are you okay?" "I did it," Jennifer said, her voice breaking. "I got the recording, and it's worse than I thought. Much worse. I'm going there." "No, Maria, it's late. Tomorrow I'm leaving now. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Maria hung up before Jennifer could protest. Truth be told, Jennifer was grateful. I didn't want to be alone with that. She didn't want to carry the weight alone. Maria arrived 13 minutes later, still in her pajamas with a coat over it. Jennifer opened the door, and Maria entered, hugging her friend immediately. It tells everything. They sat on the couch, and Jennifer told them. About hiding on the stairs, about watching the normal class turn into something sinister when the other kids are gone, about the inner circle, the sweets, the touches, the whispers. Then he put the recording for Maria to listen to. Jennifer watched her friend's face as she listened, saw the expression go from curiosity to confusion, to horror, to disgust. When she finished, Maria took off her headphones and was silent for a moment. "My God, Jennifer, oh my God. You were right about everything. This man—" Maria shook her head, unable to find words. "He is a predator using faith, using God to manipulate children." Jennifer nodded, tears coming back. "And Emma went through it for weeks. Other girls too. While we all trusted him. You need to go to the police now. Tomorrow morning, first thing." Jennifer agreed. "I know. I'll call as soon as they open." Maria held Jennifer's hands. "You saved your daughter, and it probably saved several others. What you did was incredibly brave." Jennifer sobbed. "I was so afraid, Maria. So much fear of being wrong, of exaggerating, of being crazy." "You're not crazy. His instinct was right. It always has been. And now you have proof. Proof that no one can deny." Maria stayed with Jennifer until almost 2 in the morning. He finally left, making Jennifer promise to call as soon as she spoke to the police. Jennifer locked the door, checked all the windows, and finally went to bed. But even exhausted, she couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Pastor Michael's face. I heard his voice whispering horrible words. I saw Emma trembling. The next morning, Thursday, Jennifer called the Austin Police Department at 8:15. She explained the situation to the attendant, who transferred her to the Division of Crimes Against Children. A detective answered. "Detective Karen Foster. What can I help with?" Jennifer told everything. The attendant must have given some context because the detective listened without interruption, taking notes. When Jennifer finished, Detective Foster spoke in a calm but serious voice. "Mrs. Martinez, you did the right thing in contacting us. I need you to send this recording to me immediately. I'll give you my email. You need to come here today to make a formal report. You can bring your daughter too, but she doesn't have to be present during her initial testimony." Jennifer wrote down the email, promised to send the recording in the next 5 minutes, and agreed to go to the police station at 10 o'clock. He called work, saying that he would have to be absent, a family emergency. The supervisor, hearing Jennifer's tone of voice, asked no questions. Then Emma woke gently and explained where they were going. Emma was frightened. "Will I have to tell it all again?" "Maybe, my love. But these people are here to protect you, to protect us, and to make sure he never does that to any children again." Emma nodded bravely. At the police station, an interview room was made available. It was a small but cozy space, clearly designed to make children comfortable, with colorful chairs and a few toys on a shelf. Detective Foster was a woman in her 40s, dark hair tied in a bun, kind but intelligent eyes. He sat down with Jennifer first, while Emma waited with a social worker in another room. Jennifer told it all again, this time with every detail she could remember. The detective asked specific questions, clarifying points, verifying facts. He listened to the entire recording, his expression getting darker by the minute. When he finished, he took off his headphones and looked at Jennifer. "Ms. Martinez, this recording is clear evidence of inappropriate behavior and psychological manipulation of minors. Sexualized language disguised as spirituality. Classic grooming." Jennifer felt relief and horror at the same time. Relief because they believed in her. Horror because the worst had been confirmed. "We will open a formal investigation immediately. But I need to ask you something. Don't confront this man. Don't tell anyone in the church yet. If he discovers that he is being investigated, he can destroy evidence or flee. And based on the pattern you described, with multiple girls being chosen, it is very likely that there will be other victims, maybe dozens. We need time to investigate properly." Jennifer nodded. "How long?" "A few days, maybe a week. Let's check his past, see if there are other complaints. Let's talk to other families discreetly. And when we have everything ready, we will act. Do you trust me?" Jennifer looked into the detective's eyes and saw genuine determination. "I trust." Emma was interviewed by an expert in forensic interviewing with children, a kind woman named Dr. Lisa Chen, who knew exactly how to ask the right questions without re-traumatizing. Jennifer was able to watch through a one-way glass. He heard Emma tell, in a small but brave voice, about the special times, about the touches, about the secrets. Dr. Chen was patient, kind, never rushed Emma, always validated her feelings. At the end, he thanked Emma for being so brave and gave her a certificate of courage, a small gold star on beautiful paper. Emma held it as if it were a treasure. The next 3 days were the hardest of Jennifer's life. I had to act normal. I had to go to work, take Emma to school, go shopping, cook dinner. But inside was a pile of nerves. Every time the phone rang, I jumped. Every time I saw a police car, my heart raced. Emma did not go to church the following Wednesday. Jennifer simply told the person who asked that Emma had the flu. No one questioned it. Detective Foster called on Friday. "We have news." Jennifer held the phone tightly. "We checked his history. Pastor Michael Williams was once a pastor at a church in Dallas before coming to Austin 12 years ago. He left there abruptly. They claimed at the time that it was for personal reasons, but when we contacted leaders of that church, we discovered that there were suspicions. Two families made informal complaints about inappropriate behavior by him with their daughters. But he resigned before the formal investigation began, and the families did not want to press. So it was muffled. Jennifer felt anger burn in her chest. So he had been doing this for years, and no one did anything? The detective sighed. Unfortunately, it's a common pattern. Religious institutions often protect their reputation above all else, and predators know it. They know how to pick out vulnerable victims, they know how to manipulate, and they know when to get out before they get caught. But not this time. This time he will pay. We quietly reached out to 4 other families at Lakewood Church, families whose daughters Emma mentioned were also chosen. 3 of the 4 confirmed that their daughters mentioned strange things. Secrets, special attention, discomfort. One mother said that her daughter had received a necklace from the pastor, just like the one Emma received. They are shocked, but willing to cooperate with the investigation. And there's more. We were able to contact 2 of the girls who were children in the Dallas church at the time. Now they are teenagers of 17 and 18. Both confirmed that the abuse progressed with them. It started with taunts on the shoulders and whispers, as with Emma. But eventually it became sexual, physical contact. He manipulated them for years. They are willing to testify. Jennifer felt the world spin. Emma was at the beginning. If Jennifer hadn't acted, if she hadn't trusted instinct, Emma could have suffered years of abuse. He was going to... Yes, I would. The pattern is clear. He picks girls, gains trust, manipulates with religious language, tests the limits, and progressively scales. His daughter was in the early stages. You saved her. And in doing so, she saved the other girls as well. When? Jennifer asked, her voice steady. When will they arrest him? Next Wednesday, during the Bible study. We want to catch him in the act. I need you to be there with the other mothers. Your presence will help the girls feel safe when we interrupt. Jennifer immediately agreed. I'll be there. If you're here, it's because this story deserves to be heard. I believe that what comes next will surprise you even more. Don't leave before you find out how it all ended, because what happened next Wednesday changed not only Emma and Jennifer's lives, but that of that entire community. The week passed in slow motion. Jennifer could barely concentrate on anything. Emma could see her mother's tension and would be quiet, worried. Is everything okay, Mom? Jennifer always smiled and assured her that yes, that everything was under control, that it would soon be over. Maria came to dinner every night, a constant and comforting presence. Finally, Wednesday arrived. Jennifer woke up with her stomach upset. He prepared breakfast but could not eat anything. Emma was also nervous. Will it happen today? She asked softly. Go, my love. Today he will be caught, and you'll be safe. All the girls will be safe. Detective Foster had instructed Jennifer to bring Emma to church as usual at 7 o'clock. The police would arrive at 7:45, enough time for the normal Bible study to end and the special conversations to begin. The other 4 mothers had also been instructed. They would wait in the parking lot, then they would enter with the police. Jennifer drove to the church, Emma quiet in the back seat. You're not in trouble, remember that, Jennifer said. You are the bravest girl I know, and all you have to do is stay inside until we arrive. It won't be long. Emma nodded, her eyes big. I know, Mom. I trust you. In the church parking lot, Jennifer saw the other mothers, Rachel, Sophie's mother, Linda, Hannah's mother, Patricia, Lily's mother, and Diane, Grace's mother. They all had tense expressions, a mixture of anger and fear. They greeted each other with a nod. They could not talk openly, in case anyone saw and suspected it. The girls got out of the cars and walked together to the side entrance. Pastor Michael was there, as always, smiling, greeting. Hello, girls. It's good to see you. I missed our Emma. I'm glad you're better. Emma forced a small smile and entered. Jennifer watched until the door closed, then got back to the car. The other mothers did the same. They waited. The minutes dragged on. Jennifer looked at the clock on the dashboard every 30 seconds. 7:15, 7:30. Finally, at 7:42, 3 unmarked cars arrived at the parking lot, parking discreetly away from the entrance. Detective Foster came out of the first, accompanied by 2 other detectives. 2 uniformed police officers got out of the other cars. The mothers got out of their cars and approached. "Ready?" Detective Foster asked. The 5 women nodded. "Let's go in quietly. When we get to the basement room, I'm going to knock and identify myself. I want you to stay behind us until I give the signal. Then you can come in and get your daughters." "Understood." "Understood," the mothers answered in unison. They entered through the main door, just as Jennifer had done a week ago. The hallway was empty. They descended the stairs in silence, a procession of 8 people moving like ghosts. Jennifer was in the middle, her heart beating so loudly that she was sure everyone could hear it. They arrived at the door of the basement. It was closed. On the other side, children's voices. They were singing. Detective Foster waited. The song ended. Silence. Then, Pastor Michael's voice, soft and whispering. "Special girls, my favorites." It was the cue. Detective Foster knocked on the door. 3 strong, authoritative beats. "Pastor Michael Williams, Austin Police. Open the door, please." Shocked silence on the other side. So, movement, steps. The door opened. Pastor Michael was there, his face initially confused, then turning into something close to panic when he saw the cops, the detectives, and behind them, the 5 mothers. What's happening?" "I'm Detective Karen Foster. I need you to come with us for questioning. We have reports of inappropriate behavior with minors. This is absurd. I'm a pastor, a man of God. You simply can't." "Yes, we can, and let's go. Please leave the room." Jennifer looked over the pastor's shoulder and saw the 5 girls sitting in an intimate circle. Pastor Michael had been standing in the middle when the police knocked in. His hand was on Sophie's shoulder. The girls looked with wide eyes, confused, frightened. Detective Foster motioned to the mothers. Jennifer entered first, going straight past Pastor Michael. Emma was sitting, her eyes meeting her mother's immediately. "Mother?" Jennifer walked across the room and knelt in front of her daughter, pulling her into a hug. "It's over, my love. You're safe. It's over." The other mothers did the same, each one picking up her daughter, hugging, consoling. Pastor Michael tried to speak. "You are making a terrible mistake." "I was just teaching, just praying with them. This is a misunderstanding." "Mr. Williams," the detective interrupted, "we have audio recording of his conversations with these girls. We have heard your words. We know exactly what you have been doing." The color disappeared from his face. "Recording?" His eyes scanned the room, landing on every girl, then every mother. They finally landed on Jennifer. "It was you," he said, the voice a whisper. "You recorded me." Jennifer stood up, still holding Emma to her. "I protected my daughter, and now I'm going to make sure you never do that to any kids again." His hands began to tremble. He tried to smile, that warm, trustworthy smile that fooled everyone. "This is a misunderstanding. Jennifer, you know me. He knows my work. I would never do anything to hurt Emma or any child. I am a servant of God." "You're a predator," said Linda, Hannah's mother, her voice trembling with anger. "You used God to manipulate our daughters. He used our trust. He used his position. But it's over. It's over." "Mr. Williams," said one of the uniformed officers, turning the pastor around and putting his hands behind his back. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court." The sound of the handcuffs closing echoed in the small room. The girls looked on, some beginning to cry, not of sadness but of release, of relief that was finally ending. "You have the right to an attorney. If it cannot pay, one will be appointed. Do you understand these rights?" Pastor Michael did not respond. His face was white, his hands cuffed behind his back, his shoulders slumped. The man who had been adored, respected, trusted by hundreds of families was now being taken into custody. "Do you understand these rights?" repeated the policeman. Pastor Michael finally nodded, a small and defeated move. He was taken out of the room, up the stairs, escorted by the two policemen. The mothers and girls stayed behind, hugging, crying, processing what had just happened. Detective Foster approached Jennifer. "You did the right thing." "I'd always known that," Jennifer replied, her voice steady despite her tears. "I just needed to prove it." In the days that followed, the story exploded. News of Pastor Michael Williams' arrest spread through the community like wildfire. Lakewood Community Church went into a state of collective shock. Families who had attended church for years, who had entrusted their children to him, who had sought spiritual counseling from him, could not believe it. Some initially refused to believe it, saying it had to be a mistake, a misunderstanding. But as more details emerged, as the recording was mentioned in the news, as other families began to confirm that their daughters had also been victims, denial gave way to horror and anger. The police investigation revealed the full extent of what had happened. 8 girls in total at Lakewood had been victims of the special conversations. 8 girls who had been manipulated, touched inappropriately, subtly threatened with losing their special status if they told. For 14 months, Pastor Michael had operated under everyone's nose, using his position of trust and spiritual authority to gain access to vulnerable children. Fortunately, the investigation confirmed that none of the girls in Lakewood had been physically molested in a more serious way. The touches had been limited to shoulders, hair, occasionally hands and arms. But it was clear that it was a progression. He was testing boundaries, building trust, setting the stage for more serious abuse. What made it all the more disturbing was the discovery of his background. Detectives contacted the previous church in Dallas, where Pastor Michael had served before coming to Austin. They discovered that he had left abruptly 12 years ago, citing personal reasons. But when they investigated further, they discovered that 2 families had made informal complaints about his strange behavior with their daughters. The complaints had never become formal because Pastor Michael resigned immediately, and the church leadership, concerned about the institution's reputation, had allowed him to leave quietly. The families, discouraged from making a fuss and promised that he would never work with children again, had agreed not to go any further. But obviously he had worked with children again. He had simply moved to a new city, a new church, a new group of potential victims. Even more disturbing, 2 of the girls from that church in Dallas were located. Now they were 17 and 18. When contacted by detectives, both confirmed that the abuse with them had progressed far beyond tapping on the shoulders and whispering. For years, when they were children between 8 and 12 years old, Pastor Michael had sexually abused them, always under the guise of spiritual guidance, always with veiled threats that they would lose God's love if they told. One of the girls had finally told her parents at age 13, but by that time, Pastor Michael had already moved to Austin. The family, already dealing with the trauma and wanting to protect their daughter's privacy, had not taken it forward. The other girl had never told her until she was contacted by the police. "I carried the guilt and shame alone for all those years." When Jennifer heard about this, she cried for hours. She cried for the 2 teenage girls who had suffered years of abuse. He cried because the system had failed so completely. She cried because if the church in Dallas had acted, if she had denounced it, Pastor Michael would never have made it to Austin. He would never have touched Emma or the other 7 girls. But he also felt deep and overwhelming gratitude. Gratitude because she had trusted her instinct, because she had acted, because she had managed to stop the progression before Emma and the other girls suffered the same fate as the girls in Dallas. Pastor Michael was formally charged with multiple counts: inappropriate conduct with minors, psychological abuse, manipulation of vulnerable people, grooming. Bail was denied. The judge, listening to the recording in a closed hearing and reading the testimonies of the previous victims, declared that he was a danger to the community, and especially to children. He was held in custody pending trial. Lakewood Community Church went into crisis. The leadership, made up of elders and deacons, issued a public statement asking for forgiveness from the affected families. They acknowledged that they had failed to protect the children of the congregation, that they had blindly trusted Pastor Michael without implementing adequate safeguards. They announced that they would bring in child protection experts to review all policies and procedures, that they would implement background checks for all volunteers, that they would never again allow an adult to be alone with unsupervised children, that they would train all leadership and volunteers on signs of abuse and reporting procedures. Jennifer and the other 4 mothers whose daughters had been victims met regularly. They formed a support group not just for themselves, but for any church family who wanted to process what had happened. The meetings took place weekly at Jennifer's house. They sat in a circle in the living room, drank tea, shared feelings, cried together, supported each other. It was a safe space where they could be honest about anger, about guilt, about fear, about doubt. Each mother dealt with her own demons. How did I not understand? Why did I trust so much? Will my daughter recover? Will I be able to trust someone again? The girls also needed support. Jennifer took Emma to Dr. Lisa Chen, the child psychologist specializing in trauma, who had done the initial forensic interview. Dr. Chen became Emma's regular therapist. Once a week, Jennifer took her daughter to 50-minute sessions. At first, Emma had a hard time talking about what had happened, but Dr. Chen was patient and kind, using age-appropriate techniques, allowing Emma to process at her own pace. Gradually, week after week, Emma began to open up more, to understand that nothing that had happened was her fault, that she had been manipulated by an adult who had abused her trust and innocence. The other girls also started therapy. Her parents, comparing grades, found that Dr. Chen was accepting all of them. In one session, the psychologist suggested group therapy. With parental consent, the 5 girls began meeting once a month in joint sessions. It was powerful to see them together, realizing that they were not alone, that others had been through the same thing, that they could support each other. They formed deep bonds, turning something horrible into connection and friendship. Slowly, very slowly, the healing began. It was not linear. There were good days and bad days. There were nightmares and setbacks. But there was also progress. Emma began to smile more. He began to draw again, something that had stopped completely in the weeks after his arrest. She started talking about the future, about having a horse one day, about being a veterinarian. Signs that she was going back to being herself, but stronger, more aware, more empowered. Jennifer watched all of this with a mixture of pain and pride. Pain for what Emma had been through, for what all those girls had been through. But pride for their courage, for their resilience, for the way they were facing the trauma head-on. And something else was growing inside Jennifer. A purpose, a mission. I couldn't change the past. I couldn't undo what had happened. But she could use the experience to protect other children, to help other mothers recognize the signs, to trust their instincts. Before we continue, help bring real stories to those who really care. If you want to be part of this mission, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. Your participation makes all the difference so that more people know these important stories. 6 months after his arrest, life had found a new normal. Emma was in 5th grade now, at a new school. Jennifer had decided to move Emma out of Jefferson Elementary, not because there was anything wrong with the school, but because Emma asked for a fresh start, a place where the other kids didn't know the story, where she could just be Emma, not the girl who was the pastor's victim. The transition was smooth. Emma made new friends quickly, joined the art club, began to thrive again. Jennifer continued to work at the hospital, but something had changed in her too. The experience had awakened a passion, a need to act beyond the immediate circle. It started small. She gave a presentation at Emma's new school, invited by the principal, about child safety and signs of predatory behavior. The response was overwhelming. Parents thanked them, said they had never thought about those signs, that now they would be more attentive. A report in the local newspaper covered the story, focusing not on the scandal but on Jennifer's courage to trust instinct and protect not only her own daughter but other children as well. The article mentioned the presentation she had given at school. Other schools began to call, asking her to come and speak. Then churches. Jennifer developed an hour-long, clear and direct presentation on warning signs, on how predators operate, on the importance of believing children when they show discomfort, on trusting maternal instinct even when everyone says you're overreacting. His message resonated especially with mothers. After each performance, there were always women who approached with tears in their eyes, sharing their own stories or concerns. One mother said that after listening to Jennifer, she had paid more attention to her daughter's behavior and noticed similar signs related to the soccer coach. She confronted her daughter gently, discovered that the coach had been making inappropriate comments about the girls' bodies. He denounced it, and an investigation revealed that he had a history in another state. He was fired and prevented from working with children again. The mother hugged Jennifer, thanking her for saving her daughter. Another mother said that her son had mentioned secrets that the private tutor asked him to keep. After Jennifer's talk, she knew that secrets were a huge red flag. He investigated, discovered that the teacher was showing inappropriate material to his son. He immediately fired and denounced it. 3 such stories emerged directly from his lectures. 3 children protected because Jennifer had the courage to share her experience, to transform trauma into education, pain into purpose. The story also had legal repercussions. Pastor Michael's trial took place 11 months after his arrest. Jennifer was prepared to testify, to tell everything she had seen and heard. But prosecutors had so much in evidence, especially the audio recording and detailed testimony of the 2 Dallas teenage girls, that Emma and the other Lakewood girls did not have to testify. Defense attorneys tried to argue that the special conversations were misunderstood, that Pastor Michael was just a kind and caring man whose actions were misinterpreted. But when the recording was played in court, when the jury heard his voice saying that the parents would not understand, that it was a secret, that he played the girls as an instrument of God, there was no denying it. The 2 teenage girls testified. It was painful to hear them describe years of abuse. But it was also powerful to see his courage, to see how they stood up and refused to let him continue in hiding. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. At sentencing, the judge looked directly at Pastor Michael and said that he had betrayed the sacred trust placed in him, that he had used God as a weapon to manipulate and abuse innocent children, that he did not deserve mercy. 15 years in prison. No possibility of parole for the first 10 years. When he leaves, he will be registered as a sexual predator for the rest of his life. Jennifer was in court that day, sitting with the other mothers. When the sentence was read, they hugged each other, crying with relief, validation, gratitude that justice had been done. Emma wasn't there, but when Jennifer came home and told her, Emma hugged her mother and whispered, "Is it really over now, Mom? It's really over, my love. He will never hurt anyone again." Sarah Williams, Pastor Michael's wife, became a secondary victim of the situation. She had lived with this man for 23 years. She had believed in him. She had defended his work. The discovery devastated her. He went into a deep depression, sought therapy, tried to understand how he had shared life with a predator without knowing it. Eventually, she filed for divorce. It was granted quickly. Sarah reached out to Jennifer a few months later, asking to talk. They met in a coffee shop, the meeting tense at first. Sarah cried, asked for forgiveness, said she felt guilty for not having seen, for not having protected those girls. Jennifer, surprisingly, felt compassion. Sarah was also a victim in her own way. She had been deceived and manipulated for years. The two talked for hours. In the end, Sarah confessed something. I had doubts, small doubts that I ignored. The way he looked at some girls. The way he insisted that special conversations be private. I thought I was being paranoid, that I was imagining things. So I ignored my instinct, and I hate myself for that. Jennifer held her hand on the table. Predators are masters of manipulation. He deceived you, as he deceived all of us. But now you know, now we all know, and we will never again ignore our instincts. Jennifer and Emma have found a new, healthy rhythm. They were closer than ever, the shared trauma creating an even deeper bond. They talked about everything now. Emma had learned that she could tell her mother anything, that no secret was too big, that Jennifer would always believe her. Jennifer, for her part, had learned to listen not only to her daughter's words, but also to what was not said, her body language, her silences. They had developed codes. If Emma felt uncomfortable in any situation, she had a code word she could use, and Jennifer would immediately get her out of there, no questions asked. Politics at Lakewood Church had changed radically. Never again was an adult alone with children. There were always at least 2 adults present. All rooms had windows or doors with glass. Security cameras were installed in the corridors. Background checks have become mandatory for anyone working with children. Regular training on child protection was offered to all leadership and volunteers. The church had learned a painful lesson, but it was determined never to allow something like this to happen again. The changes were not limited to Lakewood. Other churches in Austin, hearing about the case, began revising their own policies. Schools implemented training. The story had created waves, forcing uncomfortable but necessary conversations about how to protect children, about how institutions often prioritize reputation over safety, about how crucial it is to believe children and parents' instincts. Jennifer looked at Emma sleeping peacefully in her bed, her breathing soft and regular, her face relaxed. It had been more than a year since that first night when Emma had returned from Bible studies with red eyes. A year of investigation, confrontation, justice, healing. A year that had changed everything. Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed, as she often did, just watching her daughter sleep, silently thanking her for trusting her instinct, for having acted despite fear and doubt. The journey from fear to courage had been brutal, but it had been worth it. Not only was Emma safe, but 7 other girls were safe too. And the 2 Dallas teenagers had finally seen justice. And countless other children had been protected because parents heard Jennifer's story and learned to recognize the signs. The maternal instinct had saved not just 1 life, but many. And Jennifer knew now, with absolute clarity, that mothers know. Even when everyone says they're exaggerating, even when it sounds crazy, even when the accused person is respected and trusted, mothers know when something is wrong with their children. And this intuition, this deep instinct, must always be listened to. Jennifer leaned over and kissed Emma's forehead softly. He whispered in the dark, "I will always protect you, my love. Always." Emma moved slightly, a small smile appearing on her lips even as she slept, as if on some level she knew she was safe, that she was loved, that she had a mother who would move mountains to protect her. And that was the deepest truth of all. A mother's love, combined with courage and action, was the most powerful force in the world, capable of facing predators, of challenging systems, of saving lives. Jennifer had learned this the hard way, but he had learned, and now she would dedicate her life to teaching other mothers to do the same. Jennifer and Emma's story is more than an account of abuse uncovered and justice served. It's a powerful reminder of fundamental truths that every mother, every father, every caregiver needs to hear. Trusting the maternal instinct is not paranoia, it is protection. That tightness in the chest, that strange feeling that something is wrong, is there for a reason. It's thousands of years of evolution. It's the brain processing subtle signals that the conscious mind hasn't yet organized. When you feel this, investigate. Don't ignore it. It does not rationalize. Investigate. No reputation, no position is above the safety of a child. It doesn't matter how respected a person is, how loved by the community, how impossible it seems that he could do anything wrong. Predators choose positions of trust on purpose. They choose to be teachers, coaches, religious leaders, doctors, any position that gives access to children and comes with automatic respect. They use this trust as a shield. But no shield should be strong enough to protect someone who hurts children. Believe in the children. When they show discomfort, even without words, believe it. Body language speaks volumes. Changes in behavior speak volumes. Sudden refusal to go to places they once loved. New nightmares. Silence where there was once conversation. All are signs. And when a child finally finds the courage to tell, whether with direct or indirect words, believe it. Studies show that children rarely lie about abuse. The consequences of not believing are devastating. The consequences of believing, even if you are occasionally wrong, are manageable. Secrets that cause discomfort should not be kept. Teach your children the difference between good surprises and bad secrets. Birthday surprise that makes everyone happy is good. A secret that makes the child afraid, sad, confused, it's bad. And bad secrets should always be told to trusted adults, especially parents. No appropriate adult asks children to keep secrets from their parents. Never. That's a huge red flag. A mother's courage can save multiple lives. Jennifer took action and saved not only Emma, but 8 girls in total, plus the countless children who were protected because the predator is now trapped. His action created waves, changed policies, educated communities. One person doing the right thing can change everything. You can be that person. If you have doubts, if you feel that instinct telling you that something is wrong, act, investigate, protect. Don't wait. Don't doubt yourself to the point of inaction. And finally, especially important in this story, where religion has been used as a tool of manipulation, God never asks children to keep uncomfortable secrets. Any adult who uses God, uses Scripture, uses spiritual authority to make a child feel guilty for telling the truth, is perverting the faith. He is using the sacred for profane purposes. God is love, He is protection, He is light. It's not fear, it's not a secret, it's not shame. Teach this to your children. Emma is now 10 years old. She's in 5th grade, loves to draw horses, has a solid group of friends, and is thriving. He still does therapy occasionally, more as maintenance than urgent need. She learned that she has a voice, that her body is hers, that adults should listen to her and respect her. He learned that telling the truth, even when difficult, is always the right choice. It is no longer a victim defined by trauma. She is a survivor, a small but powerful warrior, shaped but not broken by experience. Jennifer continues her activism work. He gave more than 50 lectures in the last year, reaching thousands of parents and educators. It has become a voice for self-doubting mothers, constantly reminding them that they know more than they think, that their instincts are valid, that they have not only the right, but the responsibility to protect their children above all else. The support group she created continues to meet, now open to any family dealing with discovery of abuse or the aftermath. It has grown. It has become a valuable resource in the community. Child protection policies have changed at dozens of institutions across the Austin region. Conversations about appropriate touching, about secrets, about consent are happening in homes all over the city. Parents are more attentive, more educated, more empowered. All because a mother trusted her instinct and had the courage to act. Jennifer's legacy isn't just about saving the girls directly affected. It is to create a wider safety net, a more aware community, a safer generation of children. Jennifer teaches Emma, in word and deed, that true strength is never being afraid. It's being afraid and acting anyway. It is to feel doubt and investigate anyway. It is to face discomfort, criticism, even ridicule, and to stand firm in the truth. It teaches that together, mother and daughter, they are unbreakable, that the love between them is stronger than any trauma, than any predator, than any flawed system, that together they can face anything. In the last scene of this journey, Jennifer and Emma volunteer in a new child abuse prevention program launched by the county. Once a month, they visit schools, Jennifer speaking to parents and Emma, with the permission and support of her mother and therapist, sometimes briefly sharing with other children that it's okay to tell her when something doesn't feel right. They transform trauma into a legacy of protection. They transform pain into purpose. They transform shame into empowerment. This story isn't just about a mother saving a daughter. It's about the power of maternal instinct, the importance of courage, the value of truth, and the collective responsibility to protect the most vulnerable. It's a reminder that predators exist, often hiding in trusted places. But it is also a reminder that they can be stopped, that justice can be achieved, that healing is possible, and that each of us has a role to play in creating a safer world for children. If you've made it this far, this story has touched you in some way. Maybe it sparked memories. Maybe it confirmed instincts you have about some situation in your own life. Maybe it simply moved you with the courage and love shown. Whatever the reason, don't let this story end here. Share it with other mothers, with other fathers, with educators, with anyone who has children in their lives. Education is the first line of defense. The more people who know the signs, the more they know how to trust their instincts, the more children will be safe. Don't leave yet. Take the next step in this journey by watching the next video on our channel, which will appear here on the screen. In it, we will continue to discover stories that touch the heart and that carry important lessons about protection, courage, and maternal love. If this video made a difference to you, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our next exciting stories. Your participation helps these messages reach more people, protect more children, empower more mothers. A big hug from the bottom of your heart. And until the next story that will touch your soul and strengthen your spirit. Always remember, you are not alone, your instinct is real, and your courage can change everything.